everyone, welcome back to my channel. So yesterday I did a little spiritual book haul and I showed all the books that I've used thus far that have helped me along my own personal journey. And one of those books was The Book of Secrets by Deepak Chopra. And in this book he talks about the 5 reasons why humans suffer. I feel like most of us who are here on this planet just want to experience some sort of freedom in our lives, something that's going to allow us to attain joy and personal happiness throughout our lifetimes. And in it he talks about the 5 Kleshas. Kleshas are obstacles that are created in our lives that cause suffering. So in this video I'm going to go through the 5 Kleshas, kind of explain what they are, and also try to say how we can free ourselves from these things a little bit in order to experience that happiness that we all want. So here we go. The first klesha is avidya, and avidya is about not knowing the true nature of reality. We came into this lifetime as loving, aware beings who can experience as much happiness as we want to, but I think along the way a lot of us forget that. Place a lot of restrictions in our lives and we're so caught up in the material world that we forget who we truly are on the inside. And when we forget the true nature of reality, that can cause a lot of unhappiness, it can cause depression, it can cause, getting caught up in the rat race, trying to be the most successful person in the world, or being sad because you're not the most successful person in the world. Not knowing the true nature of reality truly causes us to struggle as human beings and therefore causes suffering. The second cause of suffering is asmita, which is clinging to anything, having attachments in life. And we are attached from everything from sex to love to money to career to status. And that's why we have things like people who have gyms all over the world and people who are obsessed with cosmetics. Social media just creates, that lifestyle in general that we always are seeking because we feel like those things are going to bring us some sort of happiness. And the clinging and attachment to those things can cause suffering because if we do attain them, we feel like it's going to cause some sort of happiness, but what if it doesn't? And then when we don't attain them, we're saying, well, if I don't have this, how am I going to be happy? So clinging is definitely a source of suffering, and just having that attachment to a certain lifestyle keeps us from truly living out our full purposes. So the third is raga, and raga is fearing unreality. So we basically get caught up in pleasures of life very often because we feel like they're going to bring us some sort of joy into our lives. We feel like we should have this soulmate because if we have someone who loves us, then we're going to live the most fulfilling life that we can live. If we attain a certain level of celebrity status, then that's going to bring some happiness into our lives because we'll be loved by all these people. Same with wealth, same with a job, same with car. We feel like on some sort of level it's going to bring us happiness, and that disconnects us from the true nature of reality, which is everything that we need is already inside of us, but somewhere along the way we forget that. I know I'm guilty of forgetting that almost every day, but repetition and reminding yourself kind of brings that back to light. So getting caught up in the pleasures of things, thinking that, if you get to this certain level of life, then you are worthy, that can cause suffering because you have to know that you are already worthy. And that is something, like I said, you have to repeat to yourself every single day. Nothing outside can validate that except for you. And you shouldn't even need that validation because it's already within you. But, these are things we have to repeat to ourselves in order to learn. And we came into this lifetime to learn these lessons so that we don't have to suffer anymore. The next one is vesha, which is the identification with false ego. We feel like that if we are not these things, if we don't have these things, that somehow we are not worthy in this lifetime. And I know that, being a woman, having to subject yourself to looking at people's bodies and the clothes that are put out on TV, or seeing women with certain kinds of body types, or just thinking that you have to have certain things in order to be happy. You're getting farther away from the true goal, which is growth. We're only looking at the end game. We're only looking at if I have this body then I'm going to be happy, or if I have this money then I'm going to be happy, and we're not appreciating the growth and the flow of life in between. They're two sides of the same coin. Raga and vesha, you're either wanting this so much that you feel like this is going to make you worthy, or you're wanting it to the point where you feel like you're not worthy enough. So those are all things that can cause hurt and harm on who we are as individuals, on ourselves, and cause us to constrict ourselves into this ego box where we feel like if we aren't something, then we're not enough, and if we are something, then we are enough. But we never know. You have to appreciate the present moment and what we are right now in order to truly fulfill and live out your purpose, which is about the fear of death. I can't remember the name, but I'll post it in the video at the bottom, for the fear of death. And this is, the need for distractions in life, and we need things, or we feel like we need things like, wealth and love and money and power in order to distract us from the true essence of our reality, which is who we are. We feel anxiety when we think about death. We feel it's something to be avoided, rather something to be celebrated, because this is the flow of life. Like everything that is happening in between, you cannot live in fear of one thing and in hopes for another, because we don't know what it's going to bring us. We have to appreciate the in-between, because if we don't, like this whole lesson is teaching us, we ultimately suffer. You can't live your life constricting yourself to a box and expect happiness, because it's scary. Life is scary, but that's the beautiful thing about it, not knowing what's going to happen, not having that control. We can manifest as much as we want into our current reality, but if we're so focused on the end goal, how can you ever appreciate what you have now? I heard a girl once make a very funny analogy that I've shared with my friends a couple of times, and she said, when you're at a restaurant and you order your food, you're not looking over a chef's shoulder while he's cooking. You're sitting at your table, you're enjoying time with whoever you came to the restaurant with, you're enjoying the ambiance, but you're just basically having a good time. And you're not sitting there like, where's my food at? Are you cooking it right? Are you doing it right? You're enjoying where you are at the present moment, and then when everything comes to fruition, you enjoy it. You see a nice plate full of beautiful things, but just the journey of being there along the way, being in this restaurant, or as an analogy, being in life, if you appreciate that, you can appreciate the true essence of who we already are, which is love and which is light, and us being endless beings. So the ways that we can avoid that are not letting the ego determine who we are and what's going on in our lifetime. You can't let outside forces threaten who you are. If you think you have to have certain things in life, you're letting those things threaten, because you think that if you don't have these things, that you will be less than somehow, or that somehow it'll change who you are. And nothing can change who you are, essentially. We also have to let go of things that are impermanent. Life is ever changing and ever flowing. And like I was saying in the beginning, the inside of us, our true essence, never changes, but we forget that somewhere along the way. So you just have to remember that things are impermanent. But in here, this is flowing forever. You also have to know that death is a transition of, spirit to the afterlife. So we don't know what's in the afterlife, but, we look at death with so much anxiety and so much fear, and we're trying to run away from it by holding on to body standards, by holding on to wealth, by holding on to power, in the process forgetting the process in general, the process of moving through life, through loving life, through being in life. So, these things are never going to essentially change who you are. They're never going to change what you think about yourself. Only you can control that. So I really do encourage people to look into Buddhism, not as to force a way of life on someone, but to help people obtain some sort of freedom and happiness in their lives, because that's what we're here for. We weren't here to suffer. We were here to experience joy. And yes, things happen. Life is complicated and life is hard. But if we remember why we're here and we understand how we cause our own suffering, I think ultimately we can experience happiness and joy regardless. So I hope you all like this video. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I also like to know what you guys want to talk about, because very often I get kind of nervous about what I should talk about or what I shouldn't talk about on here. But my goal is just to help people with what's helped me along the way. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. In the comments below, tell me what you think, tell me how you feel about Buddhism, about how you feel about suffering, and goals that you have for yourself. So I hope to talk to you guys.